Greetings, one and all, from the White Mountains of Arizona. We got a storm coming in, so we're going to do a channeling for you before any rain has the chance of hitting. Today, we're going to be talking about NPCs. For those who don't know, NPC is a term from video games. It refers to non-player controlled characters, basically a computer controlled character in the game. And this was an idea made popular by Dolores Cannon as well. I believe she called them backdrop people, but it's the idea that some human beings don't have souls. They're not animated in that way. They're just programs running through the matrix. And we've seen this. We've seen people in full ego who are completely controlled by the Matrix. You can think of the movie The Matrix and think of them as Agent Smiths, able to take over anybody who's in enough ego that they'll allow it. So I believe that maybe most people have souls, and even though you may have a soul, doesn't mean you're not in full ego, in which case you can be controlled and manipulated by the Matrix. You can essentially be taken over by an Agent Smith. So that's just my inkling, that's my personal beliefs, but we're going to get some more information today about the NPCs, the backdrop people, if they're real, if they're not, and what they're here for, what the point is, if they do exist, and what we can learn from them. And whatever else comes up, I'm going to try to ask questions from the heart this time. Past channeling told me to ask questions less from the ego, more from the heart, so I want to work on that. Tara's connecting to who knows who. Is going to be another surprise for us. Got our katana for protection.
Okay.
All right, who you got here?
One of the entities that's in charge of monitoring the crystal stations.
Oh, okay. So if you haven't seen our crystal stations video, there's, in that direction, there's a underground 4D station that's monitoring the crystal's behavior. And I guess this is an entity who's tasked with monitoring the station.
Yes, they said they would call themselves, if a name is needed, Ataris.
What dimensional frequency are they in?
Between 7 and 8.
Oh, so when we saw their ship last night, was that a 4D ship or what was that?
They said a 4D representation of their 7th and 8th dimensional selves.
Amazing. So why are they qualified to answer questions about the NPCs in this matrix?
They said because they're most concerned with the program that crystals are utilized for within the cube. They are about allowing free will of crystals and free will of all beings within the cube.
Excellent. Okay, so do all humans have souls or higher selves?
To a degree, you can think of it as a glass half full, half empty, perhaps just a drop at the bottom of the glass. But the form would not be able to function without the spark. The spark must be there. How developed does the spark, or to what degree the spark is being utilized, is up to each individual consciousness.
So I was correct in my assessment that all humans have souls. It's just that some are in such ego that they have no conception of their own spark.
Yes. Electrical spark.
Okay, so there's no empty vessels in any human bodies.
Improbable. No.
But does the Matrix use those who are in full ego to support the Matrix, to enforce the Matrix programs?
The Matrix can only control its own programs. Every program is within every being on this planet. Therefore, that is how it controls.
So those with less ego program are less controllable,
Precisely.
and those in full ego can be fully controlled?
Precisely.
How does the matrix utilize those in full ego?
Imagine somebody sitting at a computer. Perhaps you have a computer programmer. They're very good at taking out the motherboard and reprogramming it, and they can create whatever supercomputer they choose to create. But there is a spark within that computer. If the spark gets large enough, they are no longer able to input the codes that would govern that computer, but they are just computer programmers to the exponential degree.
Okay. Um, so was Dolores Cannon incorrect in her assessment of the backdrop people?
It was a human perspective on what is occurring. If there is a human, perhaps we'll stick with human, moving about within full ego program, has spark, but 100% ego program, highly controllable. The computer programmer can control that being to whatever degree it wishes. It may seem as though that there is no soul to speak of, as there is no soul that they are listening to, but the spark is there. It can choose to listen to it, but it chooses not to 100% of the time.
And so the controllers use these people to prevent others from accessing their spark?
Yes, the program has many fail-safes. The program only mission is to continue the program. One way to continue the program is to utilize what it has at hand. It's miniature programs, i.e. the ego. And so if it controls the ego, it continues to keep the program safe. If there is a spark or soul not allowing the code to go through, F3 to 2, then it is non-controllable, non-compliant. There is an error message.
When you said F3 to 2, were you referring to a percentage of ego?
Percentage of ego, but it is the code for the program.
Okay. So if I'm about to meditate and do some healing and somebody calls or someone turns on a noise that distracts me, was that likely the matrix program utilizing a person to distract me?
Yes, there is two answers to halves. Matrix program does not want to allow beings outside of the matrix. Thus, its purpose is to keep everything within the matrix, i.e. through controlling all ego programs, perhaps through the program of an animal or perhaps through the program of weather, whatever it may be, to keep you distracted and away from accessing your own spark or your own soul. If you are within that spark or within that soul, it is more difficult to manipulate you.
Is the only time that the program loses complete control when we've completely lost our egos, or is there a percentage that we can remove where they lose control over us?
10%. If only 10% of the ego program is functioning, 90% of the soul is in charge and no longer a part of that program, it makes it more difficult for the program to manipulate and hinder your access to that soul. The light portion, or the positive polarity portion of a distraction, perhaps you're referring to a Agent Smith before.
Right.
Backdrop people, easily controlled. Yes, The matrix can take credit for this, but also it is in alignment with your own frequency. You are also bringing in the phone call. You are bringing in the people. You are bringing in the animal distraction for your own healing so that you can access your soul more easily, so that you might ask questions. Because through frustration, we begin to ask questions.
So we're simultaneously creating problems for ourselves. That's the light side, so that we can heal. But the dark side is they're being sent to us by negative
Yes.
forces. Okay. So from the perspective of these people in 100% ego, they just have a thought and they have no idea where it came from, and they just act on it. But the thought came from the matrix.
Yes. There aren't questions to be asked that weren't already pre-programmed. You might have a 100% ego being that is highly intelligent, yes, because it is a computer program, but also it may ask questions, but the thoughts it receives, the questions in its own mind, are questions that are pre-programmed from the matrix to have pre-programmed matrix answers, thus keeping it in a cycle within the matrix. It asked the question, it gained an answer, but all was within the matrix.
Maybe this is a philosophical question, but if you have no conception of your soul, how could you be intelligent? All your knowledge is from the matrix.
Matrix intelligence. There is the program of what intelligence looks like on this planet, within this entire cube. So when I say intelligence, I'm speaking of matrix
Oh,
intelligence.
okay. I
There's
see.
also consciousness intelligence.
Gotcha. I just see it as stupidity. That's just a different definition. If all you can do is repeat what the matrix tells you, that's not intelligent, in my opinion.
It is a parrot, but parrots too also learn new tricks.
Ah. What is the frequency of one of these 100% Agent Smiths? How often do they realize their spark?
First question, frequency. 23 hertz. Frequency, 23.3 hertz. Frequency. Percentage of time, spark is accessed 1.9% of the time.
Boy, that's a shot in the dark, isn't it? Why is it so hard for them to realize their spark?
The matrix is a highly sophisticated program. The cube itself, having mild consciousness, is very sophisticated because it is neither only computer nor fully conscious. It is a mixture of the two. Therefore, having a mixture of what you might deem somewhat human and somewhat mechanical is able to create a reality in which many believe that what is going on in their mind is fully themselves. You had a philosopher that admitted to saying, "I think, therefore I am," therefore telling many that what they think makes them who they are, that their thoughts make up who they are. And if you believe that you are your thoughts, and that those thoughts were yours, and nobody implanted them into your brain, then you will seek out answers with the thoughts that were given to you. Those answers are readily available, and thus you believe that you asked the question, you were intelligent enough to ask questions, and you received an answer that made sense. But it only made sense to the ego program, keeping one trapped within that ego program. Why would you continue to ask questions if you received an answer that made sense?
Wow. What are the circumstances that create a person in 100% ego?
Because all have a spark within, everyone has a soul to some degree, even if it is only accessed 1.9% of the time. That soul will continually create opportunities for that person to quote unquote wake up, for that person to ask questions more in alignment with the spark and less in alignment with the matrix program. So If a situation is abrupt enough or painful enough or one to disrupt one's flow within the matrix enough, they may begin to question their reality. It's in the questioning of reality, meaning this doesn't make matrix sense. It's when the answer to a question that hasn't been asked presents itself that one becomes shocked, one becomes enamored with some new form of thinking, and it begins to ask a question that is of its real self as opposed to being pre-programmed.
Okay, and the same is true of plants, animals, crystals. Some of them are in full ego and some of them are in full higher self.
Precisely.
So the animals and the plants, trees who are in full ego can be fully controlled by the matrix and can be sent to do their bidding.
They are no different than you or I.
We're all one consciousness.
Yes.
The birds are acting very excited. Are they being controlled or are they working on their free will?
Blue avian outlooks. Watching.
Through the birds?
Yes. Through free will, birds have accepted.
Okay, so they're just seeing what energy we're into right now.
Yes. They're communicating.
Oh, what are they saying?
Communicating with one another, though their ego program believes that the communication must be vocal, but what they are communicating vocally is also what they are communicating energetically, which is being relayed to blue avians watching.
Are they interested in Tara and what she's doing?
They are interested in seeing the direction of the collective consciousness.
Oh. Well, we're happy to have them. There goes one now. So what can we learn from these, I hate to call them NPCs since they do have souls, but what can we learn from them?
You learn your shadow aspect, your negative polarity aspect, your ego aspect. It is having the broader sense of perspective, understanding that although you may not agree with how they think or what they choose, it is still an aspect of you. And what you choose is through clarity, understanding what it must be like through the eyes of 100% ego, what it must be like to choose darkness, to choose negative polarity, but also understanding how it feels to choose within the polarity that you have chosen, positive polarity and light, and understanding that there is no good and there is no bad, there is no right and there is no wrong, but they are just an aspect of you. And eventually, those aspects will fade away as you continue to choose one polarity over the other while still acknowledging that both polarities exist.
You know, what's interesting is when we noticed your ship in the sky last night, I set the intention of having an interaction with you. I kind of forgot about it, and now here you are.
There are no coincidences.
Right, it's all a dream, isn't it?
Illusion, yes.
So if this is all a dream, what is the reality?
The reality that it is what you make of it. It doesn't matter what dimension you're in, whether you are in 7, 8, such as myself, you're in the 13th dimension, or perhaps you're out of the universe, the 13th dimensional universe, so to speak. It is what you create. All is merely energy. And this is, perhaps it is a complicated topic, but there is no real. When you say real, many are believing that there is one space, one time, one existence that is true for all, and this just isn't true. For every soul has a unique signature, yet all is one. And in that unique signature, they create a unique reality for themselves. And in that unique reality, perhaps let's say that there are billions and trillions of entities on this planet, And although there might be billions and or trillions of experiences and realities, all those unique signatures create one reality, which is the source reality. But it isn't just one event, it is billions and trillions of events.
So even returning to source, that's not reality.
What source feels and looks like for you when you return to it will be different for every consciousness.
Wow. So we're all artists of our own reality, and there is no one singular truth to the reality, even when we all come together as one.
This is why many are so drawn to artistry, whatever that artistry may be, because to be in control of the canvas, to be in control of the fabric or the clay, makes one a master of their own reality. And this is why artists have been so revered. Perhaps it's not the people or what they created, but mere the idea that they can create and that you can create. And if what they put onto a canvas and what colors they choose is true for them, perhaps that is true for your life.
It's a canvas within a canvas within a canvas infinitely.
There is no beginning and no end.
Wow, you are fascinating to talk to. I wish we could chat for hours, and I hope we will in the future.
We will be home soon.
Good, good. Thank you for watching over the crystals and making sure everything's balanced. We do appreciate that. We love you. Do you have any last message before we go?
I believe I have made myself succinct. Please, if you have questions, merely call upon yourself.
Okay. All right. Talking to 7D is fascinating.
All right.
I love the math, the exact numbers of everything. That was cool. Definitely going to have to watch that again. My brain was really trying to keep up.
Yeah. My little ego that listens is like, what is happening?
Right. It was hard
What
for
are
me.
you talking about?
I'm fully here and I was struggling, but I think if we watch that several times, I think we'll get it. I'll get it.
Yeah, that was definitely interesting. I have to rewatch it to remember like the beginning stuff, but I do remember at the end that there is no reality. Like even when we leave the cube, there's no reality.
Even when we return to source, there's still not a shared reality.
Yeah, it's still different for everybody.
It's whatever you want it.
So somebody could have like, whatever, sort of died for a moment, gone to source, came back, reported back their findings, but it was only true for them.
Exactly. That's why some people make hell, some people are atheists. Everyone's correct. You're making it. So you're right.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter, like, everybody's belief is correct. It's wow.
I like how we just forgot about NPCs. Who cares? Like, we got better things to talk about than NPCs.
That was pretty cool. And it was also interesting to know that technically there is no like NPC. Everybody has a spark. But I do remember. So I was talking about like the matrix. It's so sophisticated that it creates your thoughts. If you're unconscious. If you're unconscious and you're like, oh, that's my thought, and I have a question, and then it's like, oh, there's the answer. Well, then people that may argue through the logic or through the ego, they 100% believe they're right because they are right within a matrix setting.
Or within their own reality.
Yeah. So what they're saying is right. So it's like, it seems like it's a moot point for anybody to really argue with each other and be like, my truth is my truth.
I wouldn't say it's moot.
Okay, well then it shouldn't be so black and so white.
I would say some realities are higher vibration than others. And if you're in the positive polarity, wouldn't it serve to give someone else an example of a higher vibration that they can then choose to attune to or not?
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like they can, like, we should definitely be open to other possibilities, other interpretations, other realities. So then we can like make up our own mind, go tap into our higher self. But it definitely makes it more difficult if you're just 100% in your ego.
Sure.
It makes it harder to see all those other perspectives.
Or impossible.
Yeah. But then again, if you have somebody like that in your reality and the dark brought them in to like distract you, get you off your path, but also the light brought it in to show you what is actually still inside of you.
And actually, you brought it in.
Yeah, you brought it in yourself.
Because you're creating it. Lots to think about, guys. Lots to chat about in the comments.
Yeah, let us know. Like, what did you guys think? Did it resonate? Not resonate? When you connected to your higher self, what did it have to say? You know, on this topic, like we said, more perspectives. Let's talk about it. So anyway, we thank you so much for watching. We thank you for commenting. For all of your suggestions, for everybody who's gotten a one-on-one channeling with me. I appreciate doing those. And I guess we will catch you guys next Monday.
Thanks for watching, guys.
All right. Bye.
Bye.